What's good, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony, aka the Center of Chaos and Controversy, and I know that I stated earlier when I did a video prior to this one that I'm doing now that I was going to do a disturbing video based on police misconduct and brutality. But I figured that I'll stay on a positive note and talk about my interactions here in Illinois. Well, highlighting one particular incident where it was a good interaction. Okay. Um, and this is me balancing the scales because I know I do a lot of videos that highlight the bad and the officers and law enforcement and stuff like that. But I want to take this time to make a video to show some appreciation. Okay. So, with this particular case, um, it was a day that I was offered overtime, and I usually would carpool with a coworker, and that individual decided that they didn't want to do any of the overtime, so it was up to me to figure out a way to get to work. I didn't have any money on me because I didn't get paid yet, and I couldn't take a cab, and I didn't have any other alternatives, for me to get to work. Because basically I was new and I didn't really know anybody there. Okay, so with that being said, I said, you know what, the hell with it. I said, I'm no stranger to walking. How bad could it be? So I looked up how far it was to get from Dixon to Polo, and it was like 12.6 miles, 17 minutes in the car ride, about 5 to 6 hours walking. So I said, okay, I'm gonna tackle this. Okay, so I got myself, situated and ready. Started walking. Now when I left to leave out of Dixon, it was like this. It was like daylight, whatever. Um, as I got closer to Polo, it had gotten dark. It had gotten extremely cold, and I didn't have much on me to cover myself to keep me warm. Okay, and especially when it came to my hands, all I had was these flimsy work gloves that didn't keep my hands warm worth a damn. Okay, so as I got to like the final stretch to go into Polo, it probably was like maybe like another hour and a half to close to 2 hour walk remaining. I had left remaining, so to speak, and I noticed that as I was walking, a car pulled up behind me because I noticed the lights, you know, and then on top of that, the um the searchlight came on, so I stopped and I turned around, and the officer came out and he asked, he says, everything okay? And I said in response, well, it depends on what you mean by okay. He said, well, where are you headed? I said, in all actuality, I'm on my way to work. I couldn't get a ride, so I had to walk. He said, well, where are you headed? And I said, well, I work at PNC in Polo. He said, well, where are you coming from? And I said, coming from Dixon. And he stopped. He said, you mind repeating that? I said, I'm coming from Dixon. He said, you mean to tell me you walked all the way from Dixon to here just to go to work? I said, yeah. He said, man, I have nothing but admiration, and I commend you for that because most people wouldn't even do that. I said, well, I really don't have a choice in the matter if I want to eat and keep a roof above my head. So he said, okay. So he says, you have any ID on you? So I said, sure, hand him my ID, looks at it, goes to the car, look me up, whatever, comes back. He says, do you have anything in your pockets that, he said, do you mind if I search you? I said, no, I don't mind at all. He said, do you have anything in your pockets that might, stab or harm me or whatever? I said, yeah, I have a box cutter. And I said, that's only because I have to, my job entails me to open up boxes because what my job entailed was at the time, um, I was a molder. So as a machine operator, the females that did the winding, because they was in the winding department, and they wound copper around these little spindles and stuff, and that was what we molded over. So we would like cut open the box, bring the copper to them, whatever, break the boxes down, put it on the pallet, whatever. And so I gave it to him, I gave the box cutter to him and told him he could hold on to it till I got to my job. So he said, okay, cool. So and I noticed he was on the radio, and you know how they talk in code or whatever. And I'm not familiar with cop talk and stuff like that, but you know how they say, yeah, we have a whatever, whatever, whatever. And so I said, okay, cool. So from there, oh, and the guy, I guess it was a fellow officer that he was talking to, and he said, I have a whatever code I was. He said, yeah, I'm en route to bring him to work. You know, he said, well, where's he coming from? And he said, you wouldn't believe this if I told you. So the officer was like, try me. He said, Dixon. He said he walked all the way from Dixon to Polo. He said, that was my same reaction. So okay, long story short, we got to talking about, you know, what was going on between, you know, the policing in America and the communities, and how, you know, there's the controversy behind it. And I said, look, I'm gonna tell you, I'm from Hartford, Connecticut. I've been around officers that, you know, wasn't too friendly, and they had questionable tactics and how they, you know, presented themselves, or how they approached you, and it was a little aggressive, or it was a little demeaning at times. So from there, he was like, okay, it's understandable. But I said, I also understand that, you know, there are cops that just go to work and do their job, and they're not all about confrontation and all that. They just do their job, follow policy, and it's cut and dry. And I said, and I try to judge each experience on an individual basis, on a case by case basis. So I was like, okay, cool. So it was like, cool. So he was like, you know, he said, I can appreciate the fact that, you know, you out there working, you know, you doing what you're supposed to do, trying to stay out of trouble and stuff like that. I said, yeah, the key word is try, because sometimes without any effort, seems like trouble tends to find me and whatever. He said, it's understandable, but he said, at least, you know, you're not of that, you know, criminal element out here purposely getting in trouble and stuff like that. And I said, and I can respect it and I understand that. And I said, I understand that you guys sometimes find yourself in compromising positions where, you know, you have to make these choices that you don't want to make and stuff like that. I'm fully well aware of that and stuff. I said, but then I also know that there are other cops that escalate situations and create situations, put themselves in certain predicaments that, you know, was uncalled for and unnecessary to begin with. He said, and that I agree with. He said, because there are some towns out here where, yeah, there are cops that, you know, have the prejudices. This is coming from a cop, okay? So he had no reason to, like, sugarcoat anything, or just tell me things that I want to hear, you know? But he dropped me off to my job. I thanked him like numerous times. I told him how much he was appreciated. And I said, man, I gotta go tell this story to somebody. And I was telling other people too. I said, you know, I know, like, I might have my attitude or my perspective about certain cops and stuff like that, but there are good cops out there that go above and beyond their duty, and they do service the community. And he didn't have to bring me to work. He could have just let my black ass walk the rest of the way. But he was courteous enough to give me a ride. And there's other incidences where I was at fault for doing some of the things that I was doing. But because I presented myself with proper mannerisms and respect, I didn't get, you know, the encounter that you see some of these cases that are highlighted with police interactions and brutality. And it's not to say I've had my personal experience with police brutality, because I have. And I think I've mentioned that when I was talking about when I lived in Willamette, Connecticut. But that's neither here nor there. But I figured I'd share that experience with you to say that there are good officers out there, and that I do not have a generalizing outlook on every single police uh, officer or law enforcement. But sometimes, in order to correct a problem or issue, you have to talk about the things that people don't want to talk about. And it's understandable that it's uncomfortable for some to sit there, especially if you're talking about their profession, because they feel like, okay, you're attacking them, but if they're not part of the problem, then they need not to be offended. You're talking about the people that are a problem. You know what I'm saying? Just like, I don't know. I guess like when I make general statements about white people, I know it's wrong to make the generalizations when I'm in a topic of discussion, but if it doesn't apply, let it fly. Because I'm very well aware of the fact that right now I live with white folks. I'm in a neighborhood full of white folks. I work around a bunch of white folks, and I'm treated with respect, so to speak. So it's nothing here or there, but then you do have those assholes that show they ass, that are prejudiced, that are racist, that you have to check. So, but that's all I got. Until next time, until next video, please like, share, and subscribe. Peace.